Welcome back to the Uncommon Path. I'm your CEO Marcus G. Let's dig deep into this episode. Now, we're told the best companies are led by visionary founders. You know, the so-called benevolent dictators. They inspire cult-like loyalty, demand total buy-in, and promise to change the world. But here's the unspoken truth about that. What looks like strength is often fragility. Today, we're dismantling the myth of the benevolent dictator and why cult cultures are one bad headline away from collapse. Dig in, Uncommon Path, let's go. In these environments, the sin is disloyalty, right? Questioning your leader is a form of betrayal. But this is the big problem. Innovation lives in friction. So the people who know how to innovate and question leadership build strong empires, right? When everyone's forced to think the same, you don't get breakthroughs in that realm. You get what's called echo chambers. So a culture that's obsessed with loyalty kills the very tension that sparks world-changing ideas. So why is it so many CEOs want to build a cult-like following? What is the importance of that? What does that actually display upon their character? Think about it. If you're confident in oneself, you want to accept ideas from everyone, right? Or you want to listen to ideas from everyone. You want to be willing to dig deep with that person that you hire, that you value their opinion. Something to think about, right? So, what's some of the CEOs who built this cult-like following, and when they eventually passed, they didn't have anything to pass on from that? These companies, they are often one scandal, one burnout, one exit away from a collapse. If the entire brand is built on one person's charisma, what happens when that person falls? Remember WeWork? Remember that company? That was a big company, right? What happened to Apple after Steve Jobs passed? Yeah, they back on top now, but think about it. It was that big gap where they were lost in innovation. So history is full of companies that looked unstoppable until the founder cracked. So how will you build your company? What leadership will you bring to the table? Will you be willing to listen to others, or do you want to be the dictator? Because that's not strength, that's fragility disguised as vision. What a lot of those type of CEOs use, they use what I like to call the family trap, right? You heard about it. You heard people say, we're not just a company, we're a family. Don't be fooled by that, right? Because it sounds warm, it sounds inviting, right? It sounds like, man, I'm a big piece of this puzzle as well. But here's the trick. Families don't clock out. Families sacrifice without limits. And that language is often weaponized to justify endless hours, blurred boundaries, and burnout under the illusion of loyalty. So who's really winning? Who's really winning? Think about that. But you don't need blind loyalty. You need autonomy. You need critical thinkers who challenge you, not worship you. Because that's how a company is built. A company is built upon those particular individuals that also can think, that also challenge the so-called leader. Because a true leader makes other leaders. A true visionary sees a vision for the entire company and the people that help build the company. Look at Uber under Kalanick, Theranos under Holmes, WeWork under Newman. On the outside, they look like visionaries. On the inside, toxic, fragile, coldish. And when the leaders failed, the companies did too. All of these were big, booming companies that once held strength and held a foundation. Now, those companies are less than because they were built on this cult-like following. What a downfall. It was a big implosion. These things happen under cult-like leadership. Because what that builds, a cult-like leadership, what it builds is, it builds something that cannot be sustainable. It has a short time stamp. So it doesn't last as long as when a company is built on real culture. When a company is built on synergy, right? When everyone has an idea and that idea gets heard. Because people that work for your company, they want to be respected. They want to be noticed. They want to be heard. The myth of the benevolent dictator makes for a great movie script. But a terrible, terrible business model. We seen it in Hollywood, We seen these things. The Wolf of Wall Street. We saw these movies that propelled and grew and reached levels unknown. But in reality, the ending was blurred. The ending was doomed because none of these companies last. Cults can't outlast their leaders. Autonomy does. And that's the uncommon path. Download my free anti-guru swipe file. And after you do that, plug in your company into Score My AI. The link is below. Thanks again for tuning in. The Uncommon Path.